So I can't think of any, not even the most tenuous linking device. So we'll move on from Hellboy, which is put together from lots of pieces to build a whole, to something else based on something you put. Doesn't really distinguish it from anything else in existence. I'll just stop now, Scott. Tell us about Lego.
Just stop. You're only bringing shame upon yourself and your dojo. Yes,
but at least it's on brand for us.
Yes. We have no shame. The Lego Movie 2, the second part, returning from Phil Lord, Chris Miller, directed by Mike Mitchell, is basically picking up from where the last film left. I've not written any notes for this, so apologies if this is a bit fragmented, but in very general terms, after it's set about roughly 5 years after the previous film, where clearly the people who were involved in the framing device, actually the kids who are playing with this and sort of metaforming the narrative, there's a lot of layers to this film if you want to dig into it, but it's so silly a film I don't think it's really worth doing. But yes, it's now set in a kind of post-apocalyptic world where everyone is now very very emotive and very, very sad about the current situation, apart of course from Emmett, who remains relentlessly upbeat, but things take a turn when 5 of the heroes of this realm are captured by a General Mayhem who shows up from the alien realms.
Star system.
Yes, from the Star system, which of course refers to the kid that's playing with him, sister, and I'm sure you can see where this is going. Yes, so they are captured and Emmett sets out to recapture them, and he's aided along the way by Rex Awesome Vest or something like that, who, and I don't think I'm spoiling anything here, turns out to be Rex from the future, and I don't think that's really a spoiler because it's voiced by Chris Pratt, and he's basically playing the character he played from Jurassic World somehow. Yeah.
With dinosaurs.
Yes. Metatextual is a strange term to apply to something that's so obviously a kids' movie based on bricks, but apparently that's what you've got here, and it is a film where apparently that fourth wall wasn't ever required. Lots of very strange references to other works that the actors have appeared in. The last film itself, there's whole sections dealing with with the soundtrack from the previous film, and it's a very complicated film for what should really be a throwaway kids franchise, and surprisingly for me, it all worked really, really quite well. I think, if I remember correctly, I was much more positive about the Lego stuff in general, but I didn't mind the first Lego movie all that much, whereas I think you hated it, if I remember correctly.
No, I hated the Lego Ninjago movie. I just very much disliked the first Lego film.
Yeah, whereas I didn't even mind Ninjago all that much, but and I really liked Lego Batman. And this is up there with Lego Batman for me. It's really quite funny, but I think I would probably need to go through and watch it again to get a lot of the kind of Easter eggy type references that are sort of hidden away in there. It's quite a densely packed film from that kind of view. I have no idea how well it plays with a child's audience, because it seems like an awful lot of its humour relies upon some... It's all quite metatextual, as I say. There's a lot of jokes here that don't really make sense unless you've seen a lot of films that the voice actors have been in outside of this film. There's a lot of kind of crossover effects that, as it happens, for me, made this quite an enjoyable watch.
There's a lot of in-jokes.
Yes. As I say, I don't know how well that plays for kids, but for me, I quite enjoyed it. I found it mostly funny for the most part. It bombs along at a fair old pace. I suppose it's kind of predictable. You could argue it's maybe letting its own internal logic down if you think that Lego pieces can actually animate themselves in the real world, but that's probably not worth thinking about too hard. It is actually a movie about Lego at the end of the day, so maybe perhaps not get into the actual consequences of time travelling in between this worlds. But I think overall I was quite fond of it. I only watched it last night, so had a lot of time to bed in, but it seemed quite inoffensive and, for the most part, quite amusing. Yeah, I would recommend it. What do you think, Drew?
Well,
indeed, have you seen it? Yes.
Going into this, I was 1 for 3 from Lego films. As I just mentioned, I hated the Lego Ninjago movie. I very much disliked the Lego movie. And I really liked the Lego Batman movie.
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really funny.
Yeah.
So
Will Arnett may be the best Batman.
So it was certainly a very mixed prospect going into this. I have now seen this, and I'm 1 for 4
No.
because this was bad. Now, it didn't bother me as much as the original Lego film because I described it at the time, and I honestly don't recall now whether that was on Fuzz and Film Days or it was in a previous incarnation of the one-liner that I talked about it. But I do remember my main criticism was that basically it was the Lego sermon.
Yeah.
And it was incredibly, insufferably preachy. This film has a little of that still. Well, actually, not a reasonable amount of it still, but it's not quite as bad. So it didn't bother me quite as much. I was mostly just bored. I didn't find it funny. I didn't care about the characters or the story, and it just never ever engaged me. I have no particular antipathy towards it. It was just boring.
Yeah.
And I remember that certainly around Twitter at the time of the first film, people were talking about how good and how catchy that Everything Is Awesome song was. I'm thinking, you people all need new ears because it's just crap. It wasn't catchy or anything. It was like, no, it's just crap. The horrible vocoded voices and auto-tuned voices I don't like. I apparently can't escape them nowadays. So, and then the second one tries it again with a song that's supposed to get stuck in your head, and I immediately couldn't think what the song was, so it did not get stuck in my head. So well done, you failed there. And yeah, I don't have a lot to say. I guess I no antipathy towards it. It's just dull. And the only thing that I remember particularly being struck by was that at one point we're supposed to be really sad that Emmett's house gets destroyed, but you've spent a film and the first portion of this establishing that you can build pretty much anything you want nigh on instantaneously, so the fact that the house gets destroyed is meaningless.
Yeah.
But that seems to be quite an important part of the story here, so I was like, yeah, it doesn't work. It's just dull.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it.
I would certainly say if you didn't think that the first film was in any way interesting, then this film is really a direct continuation of it and its style. You're not going to. It's not adding anything new to the mix that would sort of make you reconsider your opinions. So I can kind of exactly see where you're coming from in that regard. All I can say is I enjoyed it more than you did. Found it funny, and you didn't, and that's always the critical test for comedy, isn't it? And it's all very subjective.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Is that? I think I probably don't like Chris Pratt all that much. I don't find he has much of an impact on me.
Right.
Because I'd forgotten it was him.
Yeah.
And it got to the end because I didn't find his voice. Because I'm not really good at recognising voice, and certainly there's a good chance of like, oh, that's familiar, who's that? And it might bother me a while to like pause in my head who it is. But
yeah,
it's like, oh, there's Elizabeth Banks and there's Alison Brie and Will Arnett, and I recognise all the other voices, and like Tiffany Haddish's voice. I don't think I've ever seen her in anything, but apparently her voice was still familiar enough to me, even though I've probably never heard it before, so I'm singing something else. And out of 10, I'm looking at the credits. Oh, Chris Pratt, right, okay. So made no impact on me at all, so that maybe was a big part of it since he's a star.
Yeah. And an awful lot of the film's humour does depend upon you knowing, recognising Chris Pratt's doing the voice for the character, which is a strange way to structure a film, really, I suppose. But yeah, if you don't get that, then yeah.
It certainly made the dinosaurs make some sort of sense at the end.
Yes.
Oh, right, okay, now I get the raptors. But beyond it's like, I think Chris Pratt kind of just washes off me for the most part. He's definitely not the best thing about the Guardians of the Galaxy films.
Yeah.
He actively irritated me in Avengers Infinity War. Well, that's more because his character caused all the problems because he's an idiot. But the only thing I think I actually like him in is Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
In which he's great, but everything else, he doesn't partly do anything for me. Makes no impact on me at all, so there.
Yeah, you just don't like him since he got chiselled. That's the... Yeah. Can I just say my favourite characters in this are the Raptors. Particularly the one that wants to get the Wi-Fi password off Susan.